Hello and welcome to NDTV 24/7. I'm Rohit Wellington. Let's begin with our top story. Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan cancelled his planned address to the nation on Wednesday ahead of a no-trust vote. The announcement that he has cancelled his speech came after the Pakistani Army Chief and the head of the ISI met with Imran Khan. Now his future looks increasingly in doubt, especially after a key coalition partner MQMP has switched allegiance ahead of the parliamentary no-confidence vote this weekend. Pakistan's joint opposition has now 177 members in the National Assembly. The majority mark is 172. Imran Khan's party PTI is currently standing with 164 members in support of Imran Khan, which is below the majority mark. The opposition parties on Wednesday held a press conference in which PPP chairman Bilawal Bhutto said that Imran Khan is no longer the Prime Minister. Nawaz Sharif's brother Shehbaz Sharif is the opposition's candidate.
वज़ीर-ए-आज़म साहब का अक्सरियत मुकम्मल तौर पे ख़त्म हो चुका है। शहबाज शरीफ साहब ने बड़ा सही और स्टेटमेंट स्पिरिट में चैलेंज दिया है वज़ीर-ए-आज़म साहब को कि वो इस्तीफ़ा दे। हम समझते हैं कि वज़ीर-ए-आज़म साहब ने इस वक्त तक, इस मौके तक इस किस्म की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं दिखाई हैं, मगर वज़ीर-ए-आज़म साहब के पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं रहा, वो वज़ीर-ए-आज़म नहीं रहा।
दरअसल 22 करोड़ आवाम का मुकदमा है जो आज ये मुतहदा अपोजिशन और उनके साथ जिस तरह बाप के खालिद मक्की साहब और आज MQM ने ऐलान किया है, इसके बाद मैं समझता हूँ कि जमहूर का तरीका ये है और एक रवायात ये हैं कि फिर प्राइम मिनिस्टर चाहे वो सिलेक्टेड क्यों ना हो, उनको चाहिए कि जब वो अदबी कुव्वत खो बैठे हैं पार्लियामान में, आज वो इस्तीफ़ा देकर एक नई रीत कायम करें और रवायत कायम करें।
Well, in Islamabad or in Pakistan, there are always many surprises. So I can't say whether there'll be any last surprises expected or not. But I can tell you right now that as things stand, the opposition needed 172 MNAs. And at the moment, without the dissidents from within the PTI, which is the Imran Khan party, they have 177 with the allies and with the independents. Now, if you put in the dissidents, it amounts to 199, which is almost a 2/3 majority. So literally a large chunk of his parties, as much as 22 MNAs, have switched over to the opposition. At the same time, there is a court case going on in the Supreme Court at the moment, where the value of their vote is being questioned, and whether if they do vote against Prime Minister Imran Khan, whether they face a lifetime disqualification or not. Now that case is ongoing, and we probably will not get a judgment till Monday, which is when the vote of no confidence is likely to be tabled and voted upon. I don't think we will see a resignation. Prime Minister Imran Khan has time and again said that he will fight to the very end. So it seems that he will go through with the no confidence motion, and it will be for the first time in Pakistan's history that he will lose as a Prime Minister. Will lose the no confidence motion. So it's going to be very interesting to see. It is also history in the making in Pakistan. Now, you asked whether the army will actually take over in Pakistan. When economically Pakistan has been stable, only then the army has taken over. When the economy is not stable, that is not when the army takes over, because they're concerned with the assets, they're concerned with resources. So I think they will allow the politicians to have the Charter of Economy that they're talking about, have the Charter of Rights that they're talking about, put the house in order, and maybe then it will be another day. But for the time being, it seems that the army will not be interested in taking over or imposing an emergency. Firstly, the emergency, if they even do impose an emergency, it will be challenged in a court of law. And at the moment, the bar associations, the lawyer bodies are very, very vehemently against army rule. So there will be a challenge there, and it won't be easy economically to put the country together again. And it's something that they're only going to look towards the politicians to doing.
All right, now to a world exclusive. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has spoken to NDTV after the crucial talks between Russia and Ukraine. He has said that there's been no significant withdrawal by Russia. He also has a message to the Indian government. Please convince Putin to stop this war. If Prime Minister Modi is willing to play the role of a mediator, we would welcome his efforts, he said.
Mr. Kuleba, you have a fantastic ambassador over here, Igor Polika, who's been working pretty hard to try and explain to the government of India why India needs to change its position. But India has steadfastly maintained its neutrality. They've not voted against Russia in any international forum, not at the United Nations. Do you see that as being a real setback in your relations with New Delhi?
We understand that India has its own relations with Russia, and it tries to maintain that relationship under the circumstances. You mentioned the negative kind of sides of voting in the United Nations, but on the other hand, I can say that India did not vote against the Ukrainian resolution in the UN Security Council, as Russia was hoping to do. So it's true that India is trying to balance, but the message that I can send to my colleagues in the Indian government is simple. In this story, Ukraine is on the right side of history. And Ukraine has always been a reliable consumer of Indian products, mostly pharmaceutical exports from India, but also a guarantor, one of the guarantors of India's food security.
Yes.
We always supplied you with sunflower oil, with grains and other products. So this is a mutually beneficial relationship, and we have a request to the government of India to take advantage of the level of relationship that it enjoys with Russia and convince President Putin to stop this war.
Do you see Prime Minister Modi, Mr. Kuleba, being a possible mediator between you, President Zelensky, and President Putin?
Well, if Prime Minister Modi is willing to play that role, we would welcome his efforts.
Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will visit India on a two-day visit starting Thursday. That's what the government has said. The visit would be the highest level visit from Moscow since Vladimir Putin's attack on Ukraine. Lavrov's visit follows Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to New Delhi last week, the first in over 2 years. Despite mounting pressure from the West, China and India haven't condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Nidhi Razdan has more.
Ironically, the Chinese foreign minister was here last week, tom-tomming this sort of relationship between India and Beijing. But India was not invited to this meeting on Afghanistan, which is for the neighbors of Afghanistan, and Russia's there, which is clearly not a neighbor. But anyway, the Russian foreign minister essentially visiting two countries that have both held a similar position on the Russian invasion. That's China and India, both of them abstaining in votes at the United Nations as well. So the West will also be watching this very closely. The US has sent its Deputy National Security Advisor here to once again try talk Delhi into changing its position. The US has already said it believes India's position is shaky, that they're not happy with the position India has taken.
US President Joe Biden has sent his top advisor and key person leading his administration's economic sanctions on Russia to India. The Deputy National Security Advisor for International Economics, Dalip Singh, an Indian American, has arrived in New Delhi for a two-day visit to discuss consequences of Russian invasion of Ukraine. Now, Union Minister Piyush Goyal tweeted images meeting Mr. Dalip Singh. He said that met US Deputy National Security Advisor for International Economics and G20 Sherpa Dalip Singh, discussed at length steps for further deepening India-US economic and strategic ties. Our complementary partnership will help us build resilient economies in a dynamic world order. It's the worst economic crisis that Sri Lanka is facing. There are 10-hour-long power cuts, there's shortage of medicines, skyrocketing inflation, as Sri Lankans faint in day-long queues for fuel and swelter through stifling evening blackouts by candlelight. Anger is mounting. A critical lack of foreign currency has left the island nation unable to pay for vital imports, leading to dire shortages in everything from life-saving medicines to cement. NDTV Srija is on ground zero in Colombo. She sent us this report.
NDTV reporting from Colombo, right outside the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. What we see right here is over 20 organizations which includes working professionals, lawyers and also Sinhala organizations. They have all come together protesting right outside the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, demanding the resignation of the governor and also the finance minister. Now all that they have been saying right now is it's been several weeks that the government has been reassuring them several times despite the kind of distress the common man has been facing. Not really any of the help has reach them. So if we could go across to the people over here who are joining us on NDTV. What I did see here is y'all were entering the gates of Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Did y'all try to speak to the officials? What did they tell you?
We demanded the resignation of the governor of Central Bank because he got so many allegations against him. All of them are corrupt allegations. So we demanded a resignation because he's not running the central bank independently. He's running according to the family instructions. The family is the most corrupt family in the history of Sri Lanka, which is the Rajapaksa family. So we're demanding the finance minister's resignation as well. The finance minister is 100% American. He's not a Sri Lankan. I don't know how he managed to get the position of a finance minister because he's not a Sri Lankan. So they changed the legislation in the parliament so that their brothers can join the family of thieves to rob the country. Now the country has no foreign reserves. They sold the gold in the country. They have robbed the country left, right and center. Now we are really the begging bowl of the world. We are so embarrassed that we have to go and ask for 100 million from this country, 100 million from that country. We are so embarrassed. We are a proud nation with so much resources and we are the begging bowl of the world, all because of the Rajapaksa family looting the people, looting the country, looting the central bank.
I'm an IT person, IT entrepreneur, but we have nothing to do because we have our own projects, spending various amount of money and time, no electricity, no equipment to buy, no repair, because they are doing nothing, but we have to spend our lives on the road. I am one of the voters of this corrupted government. Now we have no hope, nothing. Why we voted? Why we vote our young vote? Because of we have our future. We saw our future, but nothing for us.
Well, we are standing right outside the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, one of the largest fuel suppliers for Sri Lanka and also for Colombo. And what we see right here, we can show you visuals that there's huge long serpentine queues that's been made right outside this particular fuel station. And yes, of course, what's also important to note over here is in fact Sri Lanka, that's been in deep economic crisis, has been seeing a steady increase in terms of the fuel pricing. For example, for today's going rate, if you're looking at petrol, the petrol's going rate, what we're looking at is nearly 254 rupees. And when we spoke to the people right here, what they also tell us is that in fact it was at least about 137 per litre. And this is just about a month ago, which means an increase of nearly 117 rupees just in a matter of 1 month. So we are also looking at where the price of petrol has been increased twice in just as many as 2 or 3 weeks right now. So definitely is burning a huge hole in the pockets of people. Let me go across to the common man who's feeling as far as this particular economic crisis concerned. So joining us right now is in fact an auto driver. Your good name?
I'm Nimal.
Nimal. Okay. For how long have you been driving the auto?
In 4 years now in Colombo.
It's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you any time, plunged into an economic crisis like this, as bad as this, before?
Pardon?
Something as bad as this that's happening right now, has it ever happened to you before?
Yes. Before very good, but too much problem in now because petrol are going up. Before before 2 months, 177, it means 177 for 1 liter. Now it will go up, now 254 rupees. That's very expensive.
Okay. We also see that the tourism sector has not really picked up very well. But how exactly are you managing, how are you ensuring you're getting through the day? Because earlier you could do so, you could manage. But now how are you managing your expenses, daily expenses?
Yeah, that is very difficult. That is very difficult because before we can earn maybe 5,000, 3,400, 4,000 rupees. But same figures earn in the today also, but very expensive. Petrol going up and our family expense and other things very going up. So very difficult living in Sri Lanka.
Moving on to some other news, BJP workers on Wednesday clashed with the police outside Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence during a protest against Mr. Kejriwal's remarks on the recently released controversial movie The Kashmir Files. Senior Aam Aadmi Party leader Manish Sisodia made sensational claims alleging that the BJP wants to kill Mr. Kejriwal. BJP has said that the police attacked them with water cannons.
These shocking scenes unfolded outside Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's house today, where protesters broke the CCTV camera, a barrier, and painted the main gate. The protest was led by BJP MP Tejasvi Surya. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia alleged that the BJP wants to kill Kejriwal, and that is why the Chief Minister's house was attacked despite it being under police security arrangements.
जाहिर सी बात है, बहुत साफ दिख रहा था आज कि किस तरह से बहुत सोची समझी साजिश के तहत अरविंद केजरीवाल जी पे हमला किया गया। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को चुनाव में नहीं हरा पा रही है, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को पीछे नहीं कर पा रही है, तो अब अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को खत्म करना चाहती है भारतीय जनता पार्टी।
The violence occurred after a protest by members of BJP Yuva Morcha at Kejriwal's residence. The protesters were demanding an apology from him for allegedly mocking the massacre of Kashmiri Pandits. According to the Delhi police, around 1 p.m., some protesters broke the barricade and proceeded towards the Chief Minister's house. They also had paint in their hands. Later, a CCTV camera and a boom barrier were found damaged.
पुलिस ने हम सबको रोकने का प्रयास किया। वाटर कैनन्स भी युवा मोर्चा की कार्यकर्ताओं के ऊपर उन्होंने वाटर कैनन का भी, पानी का बौछार भी उन्होंने इस्तेमाल किया। उसके बावजूद भी युवा मोर्चा के कार्यकर्ता लोग बैरिकेड सामने करके, बैरिकेड को क्रॉस करके हम उनके घर के पास चले गए। We wanted to peacefully meet him. We wanted to express in a constitutional way, democratic way, our anguish.
Some hours later, the East Delhi Municipal Corporation House witnessed a fierce scuffle between AAP and BJP leaders over a motion by the BJP to condemn Kejriwal's statement in the Delhi Assembly.
The entire fiasco's roots lie in BJP's initiative to make the film Kashmir Files tax-free, a move that was criticized by Kejriwal, who said that Kashmiri Pandits need rehabilitation and not a movie. And today, the residence of Delhi's Chief Minister was attacked, raising big questions on the state of law and order. In New Delhi with Sharat Sharma and camera person Sudesh Kumar Ram, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
A BJP fact-finding team on the Birbhum violence in West Bengal has submitted its report to the party chief, JP Nadda. The report says that the state of Bengal is in the grip of mafia led by Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress, and that the law and order in the state has crashed. Now, Mamata Banerjee has condemned the BJP team's report and said that such reports interfered with investigations and derailed them. And that's a wrap on this bulletin from the entire team. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.